Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sai and Maddi podcast series. So, today, on our second installment, we're going to talk about something extremely special, something which a lot of us suffer from, something which everybody's got on their minds about how to work it out. Sometimes it's filled with guilt, sometimes it's filled with negligence, and sometimes we just feel that we don't have it in us to have this quality. And today's quality that we're talking about is self discipline. So, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Maddi, who's been working on this diligently for quite a long time and has some really special gems to share and some beautiful insights which we'd love to hear. So, Maddi, handing it over to you. Can you tell us a little bit about self-discipline and how does one master it? How does one start? Like, where does one start to begin with, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you. First of all, thanks, Sai, for giving a kind of this wonderful opportunity to share what I'm going through in every day of my life and what I've been experiencing and how it has changed my life in terms of spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and how far I retuned myself in my 44 years of age by following this. So because when I talk about this to someone, they always get confused with self-discipline with I'm a good person, I don't need that, blah blah blah, so but whereas we must take that, what to say, a kind of particular aspect of, what to say, like it means that individually we must focus on enhancing our self-discipline. It's not that whether a person is good or bad, whether a person is positive or
Mhm.
negative, whether a person is optimistic or pessimistic. When a person is more tuning himself or herself towards self-disciplinary action or life in every day, eventually a person will be more productive, whether he is positive or negative, because he can't be negative, he can't be pessimistic. When a person is living a self-disciplined life, he can't be pessimistic, he can't be negative. He'll be in a controlled
Hmm.
state, for controlled by himself or by herself, not by any external means. Because self-discipline, first and foremost, people should understand that self-discipline is nothing but self-love. That's it. Very simple explanation about it.
Hmm.
Self-discipline, in simple term, we can say it is nothing but self-love. How far we
Hmm.
love ourselves. And self-discipline is going to enhance our energy from inside, because everyone is a born creator here. Everyone is born with a great potential, but how we are going to tap that divine energy which is inside us. When I say that word divine, immediately people think that it's like the hoo-hoo. It's not like a hoo-hoo. So people actually correlate with, something, it's not related to us. No, everyone is related to, it's not a hoo-hoo, but the thing is nothing, but everyone is born with that of kind of great potential when they are coming into this world, when they are stepping out into
Hmm.
this world. But the thing it is, when a person born, they are having that kind of 95% of subconscious mind, completely, almost completely subconscious mind. Then afterwards, when a person starts to walk, when a person starts to listen to his parents and the schools and the friends and other relatives, family, relatives, friends, eventually what happens is this subconscious ability of having a great potential will be masked by the conscious ability. And a person follows a disciplinary action, but not self-disciplinary action.
Hmm.
And then the disciplinary action will be imposed by to the person by the external world. Why I'm bringing this topic, because when I say imposed or infused by the external world, it means that a person, that child, when he develops, when he grows with a great potential of subconscious ability, followed by the infusion and infusion injected by the disciplinary action, either in school or by the parents or by some sort of condition, that child tends to see that discipline as a pain. And
Yeah.
eventually child becomes childhood and into the teenage and then afterwards into the adulthood and adult stage, that they will carry over, saying that discipline is
Hmm.
nothing but pain. So they may be good, but they may not be good for themselves. They may be good for the society, they may be good for others, but are they good for they themselves? They tend to say that, oh yeah, I'm here for my family, I'm here for my kids, but are they here for themselves? And they say that I'm here to sacrifice for my family, for my parents, for my kids. But how about yourself? If you are not spending time, if you are not loving yourself, what the best you can give to others?
Yeah,
So
because there's not much that you can give because there's very little value within yourself to then share with so-called family or anybody for that matter.
that's right.
I
That's right.
think I'm, yeah, like I think I'm trying to, like as you're speaking, the one thing which is making sense is that when you say discipline from the outside, as you said that, yeah, somebody, some higher authority, let it be parents or someone who is like fostering you and imparting this kind of structure on top of you. So say for example you are a amoeba, like as you're growing up, you're tender, you're soft, you're unconditioned, you're
Yeah,
completely like you're formless, and then you're getting this structure from the outside. So then this feels like extremely crippling because now you're having to follow the structure and you're having to grow as an amoeba into a self but based on this external grid.
that's
Now,
right.
as of what I understand from what you're saying is that if this so-called amoeba were to have an internal idea of what structure is supposed to mean, if it were to have an idea of the benefits of structure and about how its own internal dreams can be realized because of the structure, this
Exactly.
amoeba would start generating, like secreting its own structure around it. And now it doesn't need the society's crippling structure because it has its own grid, so to speak, to grow within. And
Yes,
this will never feel crippling. And the self discipline which you speak of can never be crippling because it was secreted by its own self.
obviously.
So, yeah, so if you're always aware of the source, you know that the source came from inside of me, the structure which I'm so called following. If I'm waking up at 4:35 in the morning, if I know that I'm the person waking myself up and not some boss who's asking me to show up at 4:45, there is no way you'll feel the pain of getting up at 4:30. But if
That's
somebody else
exactly
tells you to get up at, yeah, even 7, you're going to be like, oh man, like why should I get up at 7 for this guy? It's bound to be there because it's external. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
right.
That's right. Exactly as you said.
Mm.
Self-discipline, as I said, of course, what happens, as you said, the amoeba, the same thing like that we can say in many way that because if a plant is growing and if you box the plant will take the box structure by itself. Or if you take
Mm.
any plant, if you just grow it in a pot, that roots will form. Even if you take the pot outside, you can see the roots will be in a pot structure. That's what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah, yeah.
You will, if you don't follow your own self thing, eventually what happens, we will be designed by the outer world if we let ourselves. And what happens is that if a person is not self disciplining himself, but because he or she is seeing that discipline is a pain, he will let the outside world to design him, and eventually you lose the self identity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you haven't secreted your own structure. The society has told, given you the structure. So there is
Yes,
no way
society
you
has,
can have a self. Yeah, yeah. You
that's
will
right.
not be able to have a self.
Society has molded, boxed, conditioned a person. Eventually, you will lose your identity. You will take the identity of what has been told to you.
Mm.
That's why, like when we go and ask a person, who are you? Means who are you? Means if the person will name them,
I
and
do
then
this
after
a
what,
lot. I do this a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and they say, they will always connect themselves with what the profession they do. They don't identify themselves as themselves. They identify themselves as a profession because it is being imposed by the society, and they will take that identity, but not able to identify themselves because they will lose that. So self
This is
discipline is
such a
going to
key
be
point. This is such a key point. Yeah. Because, like, when you say, like, if I can actually, like, if we can dig deeper into this answer, because the answer is extremely potent. Like, if we can actually dig deeper into the answer, why is the person saying whatever, it can be anything. I'm a banker, I'm a etc, I'm a musician. It can, answer can be anything. But the thing is, that so-called banker or the musician is being of value to the society. So hence the person is saying that, yeah, this society gave me structure and I am being of value to the society as a banker or as a musician. That means I'm actually not being of value to myself. I'm only externally
Yeah.
engaging.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's right. So it means that whatever the passion it could be, whatever the job it could be, whatever the work or the profession, whatever it could be, that's an external aspect. So it means what I mean to say is I'm not a born physiotherapist. I'm a born human being with so much of potentials. I can do anything based on what I'm going to get aligned with. But if I'm say that I'm a physiotherapist, that's a big question actually. I'm not a physiotherapist. My profession, what I was practicing was a physiotherapy.
Hmm.
So, since because of the lack of self discipline, the person is not identifying themselves as themselves. Rather, they are connecting. They are always, since because they lost us already. They didn't lose anywhere. They dig themselves. They put a graveyard into themselves. Rather, because of the lack of identity, they always seek for identity by the external resources, and they get attached to.
Hmm.
And they get so closely attached to. When they get so closely attached to, they'll again lose their identity furthermore. And by means of having the self love, which I'm going back to the topic again, by means of having the self love, they will be having the ability to fill in first, to give, to share, to give the best to the society, to the family, or to the close whoever siblings or parents or kids, or to partners or to wife or to husband. So to give, we must fill in first. How we are going to fill in?
Yeah.
By means of self discipline, self love. People say that, "No,
Hmm.
I don't have time for that. I'm working. The reason because I need to feed my family, I need to feed my wife, I need blah blah blah." Yeah, that's fine. But if you keep on going in that way, and if your cup is empty, what you're giving, you are
Hmm.
not giving your best. You are giving with what is left, but what is best.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, that is very true. That's very true.
And
Um,
since they couldn't able to give their best, still furthermore they chase, still furthermore they get frustrated, they furthermore get stressed, but they don't stop and identify what actually the problem is. The problem is the lack of self discipline, lack of self love, lack of self identity.
hmm.
The root cause is self discipline. So
Yeah.
that's a base. That's a base which gives the structure for everything in the life. Everything, almost everything, I would say. So once if a person stop, give a time, give permission for themselves, invest on themselves in terms of time first. First of all, giving a permission and investing a time for themselves. It means they must dedicatively takes time for themselves personally, and in that time they must give a pause and review, self-realize where they're heading to, what they must tune in first, how they should concentrate on themselves first to fill in the cup. That is what is nothing but the process of self-discipline.
Yeah.
And more and more they do,
Hmm.
eventually they build that kind of self-discipline is nothing but a muscle again. It's a muscle in the brain. And eventually they tap that potential, they tap the inner ability, it means they will tend to find themselves, because self discipline process through by means of self discipline, there's a, as I discussed yesterday, to say it in brief again, discipline is what has been imposed by other people, but a self discipline is what how you are tuning for you yourself, being you, even in the absence of
Hmm.
others. Self love.
Yeah. Hmm.
So getting back to again here, that by means of having the self discipline, what happens is it is going to retune you, it is going to help you to fill in your cup first, and by means of that you are going to develop your own structure, your own identity, and eventually your self esteem is going to develop. You believe, start to believe yourself. But what's happening in the modern world? People are, because of the lack of self discipline, people are believing their doubt, doubting their self belief, isn't it?
Hmm.
People are believing
Yeah,
their doubt but doubting their self belief. The reason, because of lack of self discipline. Everything is connected to nothing but self discipline.
that is true. That is true. Hmm. There's one more perspective which I used to really use while working on this was about pain. The thing is, like as you're saying, like for example, self-discipline, and say for example, it has something to do with waking up extremely early. Like yeah, there was a time when I used to get up at 3:55 for my guitar practice. So it used to be so painful to wake up like when you got your AC going on and everything is dark and nice and you're really going through pain to just wake up. And I'm sure that see, I'm not a big gym guy, but I'm sure like you who work out, someone like you who works out quite a bit, you know that at that time you're actually causing pain to yourself. But the fact remains that if you can cause pain to yourself, nobody else can cause pain to yourself because you are like consciously doing it. That means there's no going to be no entity from the outside. You're not actually going to land up in situations where you're actually being disciplined, or at least it reduces quite a bit because you're doing it to yourself
That's it.
and
And
you are your worst critic. So yeah, there's very little room for someone else to come in, right?
that's right. That's
Mm,
right. And you will tend to perceive the pain as not a negative perspective, but from the positive perspective. Because
mm.
pain is nothing but a sensation. That's it. Pain is nothing but a normal sensation. It's like a normal sensation. When a child, see, when the child is born, okay, say there are so many, of course, real stories, of course, not so real, means real life. That the child has
Incidents,
born,
yeah.
fell down from the heights, and but still it is alive and things like that. And when the child is about to get up and walk, how many number of times the child fall down? Plenty of times, right? Is the child is saying that, oh, I'm not here to fall, I don't want to fall because I'm getting pain? Because the child is not seeing that pain as a negative phenomena. The child, it's not, there's no negative perception there. But later on, when the child grows, pain has been fed as a negative perception. When the pain has been fed as a negative perception, we start to perceive the pain as a thing to avoid in the life. No, pain has to be felt. Any sort of pain, it could be a physical pain, it could be a mental pain, any sort of emotional pain, it has to be felt. It has to be felt, and that is a good switch which is going to motivate from internally. Pain is a good motivator,
Mm, yeah.
but if you do it from internally, if you don't perceive
The,
the pain as a motivator, that is where a person let the other person to give a pain to himself, to him.
yeah. And I think it's all about who takes the first initiative because as you're saying, like if you're lifting weights and you're going from like 20 pounds to 30 pounds with your weightlifting today. So you are the one who's consciously doing it because you already have a plan that I want to hit this target, hence I'm doing it. Now the pain is very different. It's a sweet kind of pain because it's a pain which is creative. It's going to
Yes.
create something. This pain is going to break open muscles and create something new, or going to
Growth.
break
Yeah.
open sense of resistance and create something new. While if this same amount of whatever lifting was imposed upon you, say for example you're working on the road and you're like digging the road and you have a so-called boss who's asking you to whatever lift this huge pile of rocks or something. That is when you feel the pain because it's actually external and you are out of control, and it's not creative in any form. It's only helping the boss, it's not really helping you. So I think that is where it comes down to, like when it's external you really feel it, but if you can do it internally there's very little chance left or
Yeah.
room left for outside entities to tell you to do something.
Yeah, yeah. And also, like, when you put yourself in extreme level of pain, when you put yourself in extreme level of pain by intensing, as you said now, say today if I'm going to lift say for example 20 kgs of weight, And tomorrow, if I'm going to do the same thing, and day after tomorrow for another 10 months, if I'm going to do the same thing, I'm not developing. I'm just plateauing there. Whereas if I'm going to intensify the level of pain which I'm getting by means of increasing the weight that I left, when I'm putting myself into the extreme level of pain by myself, that develops a tenacity towards withstanding any sort of pain which comes from outside.
As well, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So that is a beautiful process actually, because you are becoming strong, you are becoming you powerful enough to withstand any sort of pain which comes from outside, whether you digest it, whether you take it, whether you receive it, or whether you repel it, whatever it is, you will be having that powerful state, powerful position, because you put yourself, you challenge yourself, you compete yourself with extreme level of pain, so that it develops kind of wiring inside the subconscious mind. It develops the ability to withstand. Yes, I'm here to either to receive from externally or to repel it without any negative perspective. So that's what
Hmm.
it is. So that
Yeah.
sort of sense, that sort of feeling which will be developed by means of self-discipline process. That is what is going to be the real aspect of self-discipline. So by means of tuning your identity, by means of self-loving yourself, you will tend to fill in your cup. I'm getting back to the topic again because we're going out of the topic sometimes, isn't it? So that's why coming back to the topic. So by means of having that self-discipline every day and intensifying it, putting ourselves extreme level of pressure and pain, that is where we tend to that, wow, I'm growing, I'm developing, I'm progressing. But more and more you see the growth, it tends to believe yourself, you tend to believe yourself, you tend to compete and challenge with yourself, and the confidence develops.
Hmm.
It's a process, and then you don't see the pain as a pain. When you don't see the pain as a pain, you will not be distracted towards pleasure.
Oh, that's very well put.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when you
yeah, that's
see the
very
pain
well
as a negative perspective, when you see the pain in a negative perspective as pain, the human brain seek towards more pleasure.
put. Yeah,
Even though you
yeah,
know that, oh, that is a success, but what happens is you will tend to go here and there.
yeah. Because actually, pleasure is not exactly happiness. It's just the opposite of pain. It's like a polarity created because of repulsion towards pain,
Yeah,
which again
yeah,
comes back to lack of self discipline. That's where this
that's
whole
it.
cycle starts.
That's it.
Right?
So self-discipline
Mm.
is going to give a structure in your life. Clarity. That's other main thing of being one of the main benefit of self-discipline is it's going to give a clarity. Whatever we do, it's going to give a clarity. Because when you take time for yourself, in terms of in either way, it is going to align your body, mind, and the soul. When you align your body, mind, and soul, eventually what it develops a clarity in whatever you're thinking about, whatever you want in your life, whatever you're thinking to achieve and accomplish in your life, you will be getting that clarity. When you have that clarity, when a person is having the clarity, then eventually it develops a focus.
Mm.
When you have that clarity, when you will develop the focus. When you develop the focus, you will not be distracted. You will not be distracted by the instant gratification. You will be focusing on the delayed gratification.
Mm.
That's what the
Yeah.
self-discipline is going to improve. So self-discipline is
Mm.
going to improve the clarity and then more focus. Then it develops that kind of vision, mission, and purpose in the life, in one's life. By means of having a clear vision, it frames a clear mission and they know the purpose of it. And eventually they focus. They put all their focus, all their energy towards that point. Even though there could be many instant gratification from the external world, there could be so many external noises, we won't develop that kind of victim mindset. Why you're disturbing me, blah 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 blah. Rather, Our focus is that whatever happens, whether it could be the bad weather, it could be anything, our focus is just there. We will be having a tunnel vision towards that focus, and that's where the most of the high achievers develop that kind of muscle, self-discipline muscle.
Mm.
So when a person develops that, eventually he'll be unstoppable. He'll become more powerful. The outside world will tend to follow him. He'll become more attractive. But
Eventually leads to self mastery.
yes, that's it. That's it. So in that way, self-discipline is a base. Every humans can do, but it is not being taught as a life's core structure. Rather, it has been told by the society as a pain in terms of conditioned, disciplined life. So that is not going to make
Mm.
a person as a person. That is going to make a person as a human doing, not a human being.
Yeah. Uh,
All right. So yeah, that's what it is. So that's why I always say that self-discipline is a core, is a base, is the foundation for anything in the life. And coming back to the second question of you, as you said that how a person can develop uh, self-discipline,
mm.
how a person can start. So as we discussed yesterday, that we can't put ourselves into that kind of level of self-discipline directly, because when we put ourselves to that kind of resistance, whatever we resist persists. It means that your mind will not accept. Overnight we
Mm.
can't switch like this, so it's like a tiny step. If a person gets up by usually by 7:30, then you should go for 7:15, 7 o'clock. Day after the day, a person should challenge themselves, compete with themselves, not directly, okay, from tomorrow onwards 5 o'clock. No. It's 2.5 hours before. No way.
Mm.
Your mind will shut you down. That's it. Because you are resisting so much. It's like a hard wall. You're hardwired already. A person is already hardwired by getting up at 7:30 or 8 o'clock even sometimes. So when a person is hardwired, it's not going to be overnight process. It's gradually, without feeling the pain, because the pain, that person perceives the pain as a negative phenomena. It's not like a drug, taking the drug and then going in. But if you the same person, say for example, if a person gets up at 8 o'clock every day, okay, but that same person can get up by 4:30 if there is a flight or if there is a bus to catch next day, right?
Yeah.
And the
Mm.
ability came from, that ability is deep inside, isn't it? That ability is not nowhere. He didn't lose. That ability is deep inside, but it has been masked by himself, and he's not doing it. Whereas because of the pressure that tomorrow 4:30 I need to catch a bus, tomorrow 4:30 I need to catch a flight, he gets up at 4 o'clock. Sometimes he gets up, he don't
Mm.
sleep at all. The pressure. So the pressure is needed here.
It's a positive thing. Mm.
Yeah, it means if there is a why, it means he's saying that the pressure is going to give you a pleasure to catch the bus. Diamond is a
Yeah.
stone.
Yeah.
Diamond is a stone, but diamond is considered as a normal, means a precious stone because of the pressure which is applied, isn't it?
Yeah. Mhm.
Similarly, we need a pressure. That pressure is going to seek, or to what to say, it is going that pressure is going to define and structure us through by means of self-discipline. So he didn't lose the ability, whereas he has to pressurize himself gradually, knowing that he is having the ability deep inside. You need to tap it gradually. 7:30 to 7, 7 to 6:30. I used to get I'm a prime example for that. Every day I get up at 7:30 for 8 o'clock work. I just rush up. 10 minutes, get ready, go to work. 15, 20 minutes. Sometimes I get up and then I go late to work. I was that kind of person. But Now I'm getting at every day 4:55, 4:50, 5 o'clock. That's my usual time. But I pushed myself to 4 o'clock sometime. But I'm late sleeper. So at the same time doing exercise, uh,
Yeah.
I hardly sleep
Mm.
for 3 to 4 hours a day. So in that case, 4 o'clock didn't work out for me. So came back to 5 o'clock again. So 5 o'clock every day, wherever I am, self-discipline towards. I myself identify myself as a person who gets up at 5 o'clock every day. So that is the first thing.
Mhm.
When a person is going towards a self-discipline process, he needs to change his identity. That's the number one step. First of all, tiny chunks, tiny steps towards self-discipline process. And in the tiny step, first and foremost is, yeah, I'm trying to get up at 7 o'clock. No, no, no. I am the person who used to get up at 7:30, but I am the person I changed myself to get up at 7. They must change their identity. Do not say that I am trying to get up by 7. When you are saying I'm trying to get up by 7, it means that you are believing I am the person who always gets up by 7:30, but I'll try. That's why one of the book,
Mm.
Atomic Habits. I think I have the book. Yeah, there you go. This book. It's a beautiful book in that actually. Atomic Habits by James Clear. There's one chapter somewhere it starts in the first or second chapter somewhere like when a person wants to quit smoking, there are two kinds of person. When a person wants to quit smoking, the first person says that I'm trying to quit smoke. The second person says that I was smoking, but I'm not a smoker now. It is
Mm.
the same meaning but different thing. I'm trying to quit smoking means he himself is identifying as a smoker, but he's trying.
Oh, very well put. Yes, yes, yes. It's all about where that self lies, right? Like, where is your definition of yourself? Is it in this box or is it in this box? Excellent,
Whereas
excellent. Because if you're trying, you're still like the previous person, and the previous person is trying. You're not the
yes,
new person who's, yeah, yeah, totally,
take
totally.
up that
Yeah,
new
yeah.
identity, embrace that new identity.
Mm.
When you
Yeah,
embrace that,
yeah.
become the
So
new
true.
identity.
That's very well put. Mm. That's very
Yeah,
well
so
put.
eventually you change. You won't feel the pain as pain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because as soon as somebody says I'm trying, it's actually the old, like in the smoking example, it's actually the smoker who's trying to quit, and that's never going to happen because the smoker is a smoker. You need to, yeah, the self needs to get into this identity, which
I'm not a
says that,
smoker.
yeah,
When you say
that's
I'm not a
it's actually that simple. It's actually that simple. Yeah, it's very
when
difficult,
you
but
say
it's
I'm not
actually
a
that
smoker,
simple.
you're distancing.
Yeah. Mm. The same with waking up as well, because now you're identifying. If you identify with the person who is going to be able to get up at 5, it's going to, like you said, like you're getting up at 7:30. Maybe it might take 15 days or 20 days, but within a month you'll be able to get up at 5 if you're identifying with the right person.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
If
always
mm.
identify yourself as a person who you are becoming. When you
So
identify
for our
yourself as
audience, could you, yeah, for our audience, could you, because you have had this transformation about the 7:30 to 5, getting up at 7:30, then getting up at 5, and it's a very common thing for a lot of people, right? Like, this is an extremely common scenario. Could you like tell our audience like what is the best transition to do? Like, what is a healthy transition? Because as you said, if you suddenly wake up at 5, your body will just shut down. 2.5 hours is too much, right, for it to handle. So how does one go about it? Like, could you just break it down, like about the
yeah,
discipline
there
process?
are different strategies we can say that it all depends on what time you go back to bed the day before. Number one. And number two is how many hours of sleep a person needs. It depends on person to person again. Some say 8 hours of sleep, some say 5 hours of sleep. Some like me, I would say 3 to 4 hours of sleep. So I operate like that. I don't know, like there is some divine energy inside me which is actually making me to operate with 3 to 4 hours. But I will have a short nap in between in during the day. So always make a short nap. That short nap will give back that power and energy to me to operate all the way. So there are some says that 8 hours of sleep, but I don't let myself to sleep 8 hours. It means if you say a person is sleeping 8 hours of a day, it means 1/3 of his life he is sleeping, isn't it? So 8 hours is 1/3 of a 24 hours. So if you multiply it, it means that 1/3 of his life he is sleeping. Do you think that a person becomes successful? No way. No success of sleeping for 8 hours, So they can't produce that kind of massive empire in front of them or for them when they are sleeping 1/3 of their life. So a healthy man needs at least 5 to 6 hours of sleep. Whereas until now, I'm sleeping for almost sometimes 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. But when I sleep 5 hours, I feel more energetic. Obviously, right? But it depends on time to time again. Depends on what sort of energy, what sort of exercise I'm doing the day before. But coming back to the question that you said. So based on these strategies, if they say 4 hours or 5 hours or 8 hours, they must calculate themselves what time they must go back to bed. Say, for example, if a person wants to sleep for 6 hours, continuous 6 hours, say, for example, okay, when a person says that 6 hours I need to sleep, and if a person is determined to get up by 7 o'clock, it means that they should go back to bed within 12 to 1 p.m., 1 a.m., so 1 in the night. So they'll have a solid 6 hours. But even then, before 1 o'clock, if a person is, because most of them nowadays are going to bed late night, all right, most of them. It could be because of lack of sleep or because of so many negative technological gadgets, right? So if a person is determined to go back to bed either by 12 or 1 o'clock, then what time the person shuts down is technological aspect. It means that the phone or the watching television or anything like that, what time the person shuts down. The reason why I'm saying this, because the person will not get the deep sleep immediately when after going back to bed. It takes time to hit the deep sleep. All right, so in that case, the person should wean himself or herself at least 1 to 2 hours before hitting the bed. They should follow this structure. When they hit that structure, and then after by 1 o'clock, if they go back to bed, and then after, instead of getting up at 7:30, they can able to get up by 7. So slowly.
Okay.
So 7:30 to 7. So do not even push anyone whoever is listening here, the audience, like anyone should not push yourself, as you said before, 7:30 to directly 5 o'clock, because it's going to give a shock. It's going to give you a mental shock. It's going to give you a body shock. That will not be accepted by the body, that will not be accepted by the mind. And what happens the whole day, your productivity will be lost. Productivity. So instead, as a tiny chunk, 7:30 to 7 o'clock, based on what time you go back to bed. But at the same time, do not give an excuse that since I couldn't able to avoid going to bed last night, so today, okay, I'll just get up back again by 7:30. No, push yourself. That is why you have to push that pressurize yourself, that 7:30 to 7. Just do it for 4 to 7 days. Habituate that first, and then after another half an hour, 6:30, habituate that first. That was the thing I did myself. 6:30 to 6 then. So it took nearly a month for me to get back to 5 o'clock. I just pushed myself from 7:30. I pushed myself to 5 o'clock in the morning in a month period time. It's not like overnight. I took time gradually. Even on the weekdays, even on the weekends, I get up at 5 o'clock. So that must be tuned gradually, step by step process, and consciously. And again, one more important thing which I usually do, which is taught by my father, by my dad when I was young. He always says that plan your time, what time you want to get up in the morning. That sets your biological clock to some extent. When you practice, a person doesn't need an alarm clock. It means that before hitting the bed in the day
You already
before,
know.
you must know that, okay, you must say yourself that, okay, tomorrow morning I'm determined to get up at so and so time. So when you say that yourself, when you go back to the bed after, you should not say that and then go and do something else and then go. No, that's not going to work out. So we must say at least 5 times, repeat that 5 times, and go to bed straight away. And then go and sleep. So what happens is the next day morning, eventually you will develop the ability of getting up exactly what the time that you set, that you promised the day before.
I used to also do visualization, like how
That's
you're saying, right? Like saying, yeah, yeah. Like for example, like there was a time when I used to get up at 3:55, like 4:15. I used to start my guitar practice. So before going to sleep, I used to imagine how beautiful it's going to feel while playing, how
good.
my morning coffee is going to taste. So that gives you, I think, the motivation as well to wake up. Like the brain knows that something pleasurable is going to happen. It's not that something
That's
painful
it.
is going to happen.
That's
Yeah,
it. That's
something
it.
good is going to happen. So then I think it gets easier then if you also visualize, right?
Yeah, you
I think it just
picturize it.
becomes much more easy. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
picturize it.
You picturize
Gets
it,
more.
bring it in front, and then you will see that as a vision, so that, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to perceive tomorrow morning, so that you visually see it in such a way, which means it gives us some sort of a mask, that physical evidence. Wow, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up. You won't feel the pain, you feel the pressure, and a person won't feel burnt out.
Yeah. Mm.
Most of them think it is a pain, and they will say, I'm burnt out, I'm tired. The reason, because they are not doing it passionately, they are doing it as a pain only.
Mm.
They are
Yeah.
not going through the process of self discipline. They are trying to cut short the process of self discipline. You can easily say that when a person say most of the time, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. Okay, there is lack of personal self discipline.
We need
I
to cover
never
this. We need to cover burnout because it's a very big topic. Like,
Pardon.
yeah, we
Yeah,
really need to cover. We need to cover burnout in the future because it's a very big
yeah,
topic.
yeah. I never felt tired in that way.
Mm.
I always do what is aligned with me. If it doesn't align with me, I won't do. When I
Mm.
feel a little bit here and there, I felt, okay, it seems like I'm going out of alignment. What is that?
Mm.
And also, another thing I would like to say here when it comes to self discipline, why, that's the main important thing. Why a person is taking up that process of self discipline? Why? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? It's again